Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, sir. Who is the speaker today?
Just wait a minute. He is not joined. Just
Okay. There is some problem with the Facebook Live API. What we can do is the recording is being done. So once it gets over, we can upload the same on the Facebook.
Perfectly fine. Let's start then. It's already 10:06 now.
Yes, sir. You can.
Okay, sir.
I guess I'm audible, more audible now.
Yes, Deepak sir, you are audible, quite audible.
Yeah.
Sadaka sir, just give me thumb up, so that I can proceed. Yeah. So, good morning to one and all. Good morning to one and all. I am Praveen Jagtap, Assistant Professor of D.Y. Patil University School of Pharmacy. As we have started webinar series, so today we have a second webinar. So the speaker is with us. So I would like to introduce our speaker to you, Mr. Deepak Nipunge. Mr. Deepak Nipunge, he is currently working as a drug inspector in Central Drug Standard Control Organization, FDA Bhavan, New Delhi. He did his B.Pharm from NMVP College of Pharmacy, Nasik, and Masters from ICT. He is a recipient of different accolades to his credit. For example, he has appreciation letters from Dr. G.N. Singh for better performance during WHO National Regulatory Authority Assessment of CDS-CO. Also received a appreciation letter from Dr. S. Ishwarya Reddy for excellent work during CDS-CO audit for ISO 9001-2015 certification. He is having a industrial experience, good industrial experience. He has worked with the Astrum Healthcare, Ghatkopar, Mumbai, Sun Pharma Industry, Andheri, Zydus Cadila Healthcare, Ahmedabad. He has worked as a project manager as well, project management as well. He is currently closely working with the ministry on different issue. He has a close work experience with Dr. Vijay Somani sir as well. He's doing various kinds of responsibility in industry, like to inspect, to take sample, to go for search, examination, to curb all the illegal activities if the industry is doing. He has various experience, or he has completed various training workshop at different places. So many accolades are there. I'm not going to enlist because all our participants are eager to hear you. But before to proceed to Mr. Nipunge, Mr. Deepak Nipunge, I would like our principal sir to say few words. Over to Dr. Rakesh Somani sir.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Praveen Jagtap, sir. This is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Deepak Nipunge, who is our resource person today, and all the participants who have been on this particular platform. So, hi, myself, Dr. Rakesh Somani, the principal of D.Y. Patil University School of Pharmacy in Navi Mumbai. This school is, in literal sense, we are a budding institution as we establish ourselves in 2019 under the able guidance of Honorable Dr. Vijay Patil sir, who is the president of D.Y. Patil Educational Group, Navi Mumbai, and of course with the blessings of Honorable Dr. D.Y. Patil himself. So we are running two courses, that is Diploma Pharmacy and Degree Pharmacy, and we are entering into the second year. Now, in order to establish the linkages with the industry as well as with the student community, and also to spread knowledge of pharma profession across the different sectors of the community, we thought that we will try bring all the people on one platform and conduct webinar series. As we are now in the phase of unlock one, rather the lockdown period is already kind of over, and we are in unlock one. And now this digital technology has brought all of us on the platform where we can interact with each other. And so Mr. Deepak sitting at Delhi and we sitting at Mumbai, we are talking with us and sharing knowledge and exchanging knowledge. So it's really a great morning to all the participants, and I'm happy to see that there are more than 50 participants today in this early morning, and I hope that many participants would be joining soon. So, Mr. Deepak, we are thankful to you for sparing your valuable time with us, and we look forward for a very interesting interaction with you. Also, we look forward for having a kind of collaboration with yourself, so that your knowledge would be helpful for DY Patil University School of Pharmacy, Navi Mumbai, to grow. So we would be requesting you, whenever you physically come to Mumbai, please do visit our campus and consider this as your institution which you can ponder anytime. Thank you so much for your spending your time. Over to you, Mr. Praveen Jagtap.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Deepak Nipunge to give a webinar on drug regulatory system in India. Over to you, Deepak, sir.
Thank you, Praveen. First of all, let me thank Dr. Rakesh Somani, sir, the principal of DY Patil. Sir, your encouraging words in the start of this webinar has really helped me to kill the anxiety which I was having at the start of this presentation. This webinar is first of its kind in my life, and I spoke to Praveen yesterday that what kind of like
Deepak, sir, your voice is breaking. Hello.
Hello. Now, am I audible?
Can you disconnect and reconnect the mic?
Yeah. You may say.
Deepak sir, you're audible. Hello.
He's very much audible, actually. Very much audible.
Yes. He's audible.
Okay. Then
you are not audible.
I mean about Hello. The kind of audience which I will be having for this webinar, and that helped me for being somewhat confident. He said your audience will be students, some of the faculty members, and some maybe from industry, and you.
Hello, Deepak.
Yeah. Hello. I think
your voice is not audible. Can you disconnect and reconnect?
Jagtap sir, he is very much audible. तुमचा आवाजाचा काही प्रॉब्लेम आहे. He is audible.
Okay, sir. Okay.
आम्हाला सगळ्यांना आवाज येतोय त्यांचा.
Okay, not an issue.
Yeah,
I think
please
that may be some software glitch at your end. But let me start. So I don't think I am able to share my screen with all you. Is my screen visible to all of you?
So you can share, no issues. You can see
I tried to share my screen, but due to some technical glitch, I think it is saying your screen sharing is not possible. Screen sharing has failed, and it is showing error code 105035. So maybe at other person from your side can share my presentation. Praveen, I think I have shared with you my presentation. So can you share it?
Yes, sir. Just give the PPT. We can share it from our side also. No issues.
Yeah.
Help us to bring Dr. Somani at our campus sometimes in future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. I will try my best. I think Praveen is not logged in, sir.
Deepak sir, you can start with the presentation.
Okay. But so let us start without. Somani sir. can you arrange somebody to share my presentation?
So
Yeah. Yes, sir.
प्रवीण सर तुम्ही कोणाला दिलेलं आहे ते प्रेझेंटेशन?
Yes, sir. I think he mailed me. Just a second.
अरे भाग्यश्रीला द्यायचं ना मग आशाला. You can give to भाग्यश्री. She can do that.
Deepak sir, you can go on presenting. I will just open up the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on my first title slide. This gives information about me, my organization, and topic of my webinar. So I just if we exclude the glitches in the software, then I think we should start with the webinar. Today, the topic of my webinar is drug regulatory system in India. So I'm on second slide. So in this slide, I do have outline of my presentation. My presentation on drug regulatory system of India has been distributed. I have distributed it into 6 parts. First, we will learn the history of drug control in India. Then we will have an overview of Indian drug regulatory system. Then we will learn the functions of CDSCO, that is a Central Drug Standard Control Organization, the organization in which I am working as a drugs inspector. Then we will see the functions of SLA, that is state licensing authorities. Then we'll see the most important part of the Indian drug regulatory system, that is a drugs inspector. What are the different sections of the act under which drug inspectors are recruited, what are the powers and duties of drug inspector, how they are selected. Then having said this, I would also like to have a case study. We as a drug inspector have to perform many acts under the act. One of the act is RAID, and I would like to share some of my experience during the RAID, which we have conducted in 2019. So let us begin with the history of drug control in India. So as you all know, in the beginning of the 20th century, drug industry in India was practically non-existent. But the first World War changed the situation for both Indian and foreign companies. And Indian and foreign companies were started manufacturing pharmaceutical production at the formulations at the cheaper rates to compete with imported products. As the drug industry was practically non-existent, all of the drugs were imported from abroad. However, in that period also, in 1901, Bengal Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals was established at Calcutta by Acharya P.C. Ray, and Alembic Chemical Works established at Baroda by Professor T.K. Gajjar. Though these were the initial pharmaceutical industries which were established in India, the quality of the products introduced in the Indian market was of inferior quality. Then after 10 years to that, into 1910 to 1920, we were occupied by British at that time, and war was going in Malaysia. Like you all know, Malaysia is a temperate zone, and it is malaria endemic in that zone. So some of the British soldiers were posted there. They were having a war with Japan, I guess. So the soldiers were, due to malarial epidemic, soldiers were prescribed with quinine tablets. But then it was observed by British government that if one soldier is dying at the hands of Japanese around that era, around 8 soldiers were died because of malaria. So British government naturally investigated further, and they found out that the quinine tablets which they were prescribed were having less quinine or no quinine at all. And when these were questioned, that suppliers of these tablets were questioned, the suppliers of these tablets were Howards and Boots from UK. The suppliers simply denied the responsibility, and they merely bypassed the responsibility, saying that they have supplied good tablets. However, those tablets may have been tampered with. So I'm on next slide number 6. So this is showing the graph of India. I would like to say that India at that time was very big area to control. It was consist of India, Pakistan, Burma, Ceylon, and part of Malaya. And as there were no industries, so every every industry was dumping the substandard, adulterated, and spurious drugs in this region, as the market is very big. So the first need for having the legislation to control the drugs were felt at that time. So due to the need to have a good legislation to regulate drugs in India was voiced over and given a push by Sir Harun Zafar in 1927. Lieutenant Colonel H.A.J. Gidney also voiced his voice. Then it was in those times newspapers also, like pharmaceutical journals of England and local press, they also supported the agitation uh, which was held for the support of legislation. So due to all these factors, in August 1930, British government has decided that we need to have a certain legislation to control the not of standard quality drugs in India. So they established a drug inquiry committee. So the drug inquiry committee was chaired by Colonel R.N. Chopra. Then the committee examined what kind of legislation we should get in India, what are the problems, and finally in 1931, inter alia, they have recommended certain recommendations to British government. The recommendations were like having a central legislation to control the drugs and pharmacy. The creation of advisory board should be there for the central legislation, which will have rules to be made of for the effective implementation of this central legislation. Then there should be a central laboratory which will help in testing of the drugs. We should also they recommend, the Chopra committee also recommended that there should be the compilation of Indian pharmacopoeia. So due to these recommendations were taken into account, but however, due to unfortunately until 1937, British government did not act on this report. There was a bill which was introduced in 1937, but it was very superficial, and later it was withdrawn in the face of public criticism. So, but still the act of support for the legislation continued, and due to which in 1940, the drug which was introduced in the parliament, the bill, drug bill was introduced in the parliament, and based on the which was based on the recommendation of DAC, that is Chopra committee. The Drug Act in 1940 was enacted to regulate the import, manufacture, distribution, and sale of drugs with the assent of the Governor General. So on 10th of April 1940, the Drug Act was rolled out. So in this April 10th of April 2020, the Act is now around 83 years old. So in accordance with the Act, the Drug Technical Advisory Board, first board was constituted in 1941. Then the board had their first meeting in November 42, 1 year after that, which were to drafting of rules under the Act. The drug rules were framed in 1945 to give the effective implementation of the provision of the Act. When the Drug Act was enacted in 1940, cosmetics were not included under this Act. So, and as the cosmetics weren't included, and reports have started appearing in the press highlighting the massive use of harmful textile colors in lipstick, use of toxic raw materials in creams and powders. So this led to inclusion of the cosmetic in the Drug Act, and in 1962 the act was retitled as the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. So later in 1964, Ayurvedic and Unani drugs also brought under this coverage. So I'm on slide number 11. In accordance with the recommendation of the Chopra Committee, in 1937, Government of India established a biochemical standardization laboratory at Calcutta. So in February 47, the lab was converted to the Central Drugs Laboratory to carry out stationary functions under the Drug and Cosmetics rules. So now friends, Drug Technical Advisory Board has been established, rules have been formed, legislation is in process. So now the stage was now set for legislative control of pharmaceutical industry, covering the horizons of import, manufacture, distribution, and sale of the drugs. So after independence, there was no central drug control department. So Colonel Kelawkar was first appointed by Government of India as a drug controller. He used to sit in the North Block currently in the office of DGHS under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. These are the I'm on slide number 13. You can see the names of the drug controllers of India, starting from Colonel Kelawkar, then PM Nabar, Borkar, Ramachandran, Gotoskar, Kannan, P.K. Gupta sir, then P. Das Gupta sir, Ashwini Kumar from 1999 to 2006, Venkatesh Swarlu, Surinder Singh sir, then followed by G.N. Singh sir, and now our current DCGI, Dr. V.G. Somani. So let us move on to the slide number 15. Pharmacy Courses India. So as the drug DEC committee inspired Professor Mahadev Lal Shroff, who is also known as the father of the pharmacy in India, to start the pharmacy course first time in India in 1932 at the Banaras Hindu University. So this is our this is an important fact that our course is so old, from the 1932. The course has been started in 1937 in Banaras Hindu University, first time in India. These are the at slide number 16. You can see the breakthrough events of drug control in India, starting from 1927 to 1964. So let us move on the second point of my presentation, that is the Indian drug regulatory system in overview. Before moving further for the Indian drug regulatory system, one must need, my audience must should understand what is the definition of drug. We do have Drug and Cosmetic Act. In that act, the section, there are different section, and section 3 defines, section 3 is for definition of various definition under the act, and that definition, section 3b, is of the drug. So firstly, if you see on slide number 18, there are the definition looks very big and very confusing, but you need to, on slide number 19, I just highlighted the words you should be focusing on before for learning the definition of drug. There are four different definition of drug, four different sentences which encompass the definition of drug. So firstly, the first point, all medicines for internal and external use for human beings or animals, and all substances intended to be, intention is important, intended to be used for or in diagnostics, treatment, mitigation and prevention of any disease or disorder in human beings or animals, including preparations applied on human body for the purpose of repelling insects like mosquitoes. The second definition includes such substances other than food intended to affect the structure or any function of human body, or intended to be used for destruction of vermin or insects, which cause disease in human beings or animals, as may be specified from time to time by central government by notification in official gazette. Third point in the definition gives the substances intended for use as a components of the, so the components of making a drug like excipient have also been covered under the definition of drug, including the empty gelatin capsule. The fourth point includes the medical devices in the definition of drug. The first and fourth points are exactly similar. First point give the definition and includes the substances, while the fourth point under the section 3b includes the devices. So now, having learned the definition of drug, let us move forward. This slide number 20 explains the current laws in place for the control of the drug regulatory system in India. There are 15 of it. So first of all, drug is concurrent. As you all know, there are actually, for the Indian Constitution 7th schedule, there are actually 3 lists. First list is the federal list. The list, this is nothing but a list of items or list of the names for which the particular respective government may have exclusive provisions. Like first list is the federal list, where central government have exclusive control over them, like defense and external relations. Second list is the state list. State list are the state listed items are the items for which the states have more power, and the third list is the concurrent list. That is, the list contains 52 items, Actually, there are only 47 numbers. The items are 52. And one of the items is a drug. So drug is now due to its presence in the concurrent list. So the regulations for drug are controlled by central government as well as state government. So this point must be taken into account. Then on the slide number 20, there are different kind of acts which govern the regulatory system in India, like Drug and Cosmetic Act, Essential Commodities Act, the National Health Policy, Drug and Magic Remedies Act, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, Patent Act, Information Technology Act, RTI Act, Environment Protection Act. So as you all know, these are the laws in place currently in India for the regulation of drugs. So let us move on the silent features of the very important act for a pharmacist, that is a Drug and Cosmetic Act. So there are two sections, Act and Rules. So for Act, there are 5 chapters, 38 sections and 2 schedules. And there are rules for which there are 19 parts, 169 rules, and there are 44 schedules. So rest are the silent features of the act which you may cover in your curriculum. Then the provisions of the act are administered with the help of advisory committees like DTAB, DCC, SEC, NDAC, INDAC, like DTAB is Drug Technical Advisory Board, DCC is Drug Consultative Committee, which consists of drug controllers from state, SEC like a subject expert committee, which advises DCGI for the approval of new drug. NDAC is New Drug Advisory Committee, INDAC is Investigational New Drug Committee. Then the administration of Drug Act from analytical perspective is done by Central Drug Laboratory, which is situated in Calcutta. So also, like in central states also have their technical laboratories in each state, and these are governed by these are governed under the direction of government analyst. The executive personnel who are administrators of the drug and cosmetics are licensing authority, the controlling authority, and the drugs inspector. So next, let us move on the slide number 23. The Indian drug, this is a snapshot of total Indian regulatory system. There are close to 5 ministries which are involved for the regulation of drug. First is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, under which is a DGHS. So as a pharmacist, we should be more giving our attention to the first column, that is the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Under it is a DGHS office. Then the office is supported by Central Drug Standard Control Organization, and the CDSO is headed by DCGI, and DCGI is advised by DTAB and DCC. So DCC is the constitution of DCC and DTAB you may be finding your curriculum. And second column is the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. They, through Department of Pharmaceuticals, regulate the price of the drugs. If you regulate price of the drug, you regulate drugs as well. They form the national list of essential medicines, and those national list of those medicines under the list, their prices are controlled through Department of Pharmaceuticals. Then Ministry of Commerce also plays an important role in the regulation of drug through its office, that is Controller General of Patents. Ministry of Science and Technology through DBT, that is the Department of Biotechnology, and CSIR lab control the drugs. Then Ministry of Environment, like if you want to establish manufacturing for drugs, then environment clearance is necessary, and that is controlled by Ministry of Environment. So come to the next slide, that is slide number 24. This slide gives an idea of different organizations and their works, how they help CDSO, DCGI in decision making and controlling the drugs. First is of course DCGI, so the main authority, which is the main authority for clinical trial, ensure standard, register all imported drug, new drug, biological and medical devices. Second is Indian Council of Medical Research. Nowadays it is paying key role in the regulation of in the regulation of COVID and all, you know. This is the main center of biomedical research. Third is a Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, GEAC. This committee deals with genetic engineering and molecular biology. The trials in which the biotic products are used will be referred to GEAC by DCGI. Then Department of Biotechnology oversees the development of modern biology and biotechnology in India. Atomic Energy Review Board, AERB, has regulatory control over the radiation equipment. We need their NOC for approval of radiation drugs. Bhabha Atomic Research Center, that is BARC, approves all radiation related projects and radiopharmaceuticals in India. And DCC, which is constituted by the drug controllers all over the states of the India, provides the technical guidance to the CDSO. The Central Drugs Laboratory maintains the quality of control of drugs. Central Licensing Approving Authority, that is CLA products, that we will discuss in our coming presentation PPTs. DTAB and the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority control the prices, essential medicine list. Coming to the next slide number 25, that is Indian Drug Regulatory System. So this slide presents the overall organizational structure of CDSCO, that is Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Our headquarters is on Delhi. We have close to 15 to 16 divisions there, and headquarters is responsible for approval of new drug and its sister concern divisions like subsequent new drugs, fixed dose combinations, biological drugs, etc., etc. The CLA products, that is Central Licensing Approving Authority. These are the products, special products for which manufacturing of which special care has to be taken, like blood products, biological products, etc. The headquarters also take a DTAB DCC meeting. We will also learn what are the functions in the coming slides. The second arm of the CDSCO is the zonal offices and sub-zonal offices. We do have 6 zonal offices across India and 7 sub-zonal offices. Their primary function is GMP audits and coordination with the states. We do have, third is a port offices. We do have close to 15 port offices situated across India. There are actually 35 port offices approved, gazetted, notified. But currently the work has been started on close to 15 port offices. And they look after the import and export of drugs. Then the laboratory, the different types testing laboratory which CDSCO has, and we are being helped by NIB, that's National Institute of Biologics, and IPC also. Then on the slide number 26, we do have an organization structure of CDSCO under the DGHS. Firstly, at the base of the pyramid, we do have some technical staff and assistant drug inspector. Above that is drug inspector. Drug inspector, after getting promoted, may become an assistant drug inspector, who upon promotion may become the DDC, Deputy Drugs Controller. The Deputy Drugs Controller is headed by, is supervised by Joint Drugs Controller. Currently, we do have 2 Joint Drug Controllers, Dr. PBN Prasad and Dr. S. Ishwara Reddy. And these Joint Drugs Controller help DCGI, that is Dr. Somani sir, for the functions of the drug regulatory system. Drug inspector and above are recruited and selected by UPSC, that is Union Public Service Commission. It is a gazetted job. And assistant drug inspector and technical staff officers are recruited by Staff Selection Commission. These are non-gazetted posts. Coming to slide number 27, the organization structure of CDSCO. The 6 zonal offices I'm showing. There are 1 office in North Zone, Ghaziabad, New Delhi, close to New Delhi. West Zone, Mumbai, we do have office. Then Kolkata, we do have our zonal office in Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, and Chennai also. So we have 6 zonal offices and 7 sub-zonal offices like Baddi, Goa, Varanasi, Guwahati, Bangalore, Jammu, Indore. So it is like a pan-India organization presence, and we do have all India service liability. Currently, there are 15 port offices working. These are the list, like Ahmedabad Airport, Airport, Chennai Airport, Seaport, Bangalore Airport, Hyderabad Airport, Goa Airport. Mumbai, we do have airport as well as seaport, seaport. One is Nhava Sheva Seaport, the port of Indore, Visakhapatnam, etc. On slide number 30, we do have testing laboratories under CDSCO who perform the different functions assigned to the laboratories under the Act. We do have 7 of them, like Kolkata, Central Drug Laboratory, Kolkata, CDTL, Mumbai, Central Drug Testing Laboratory, Mumbai, Chennai, Hyderabad, Chandigarh, Guwahati, and Central Drugs Laboratory, which is the prime laboratory for vaccine regulation, which is situated in Kasoli, Himachal Pradesh. On slide number 31, I'm showing you the mini drug testing laboratories we do have under the CDSO wings, like Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Nhava Sheva, Hyderabad, Air Cargo, Chennai Air Cargo, New Delhi, Kolkata, and Bangalore. So in short, all these were the Indian part of the CDSO and a part of the Indian drug regulatory system. So let us move further for the functions of CDSO. What do we do? There are many functions, but for the purpose of this today's discussion, I have shortened the functions of CDSO and taken out the important functions of CDSO into one slide number 33. In functions of CDSO, we do approval of new drug and clinical trials at CDSO headquarters. The applications come, we do review applications. If you have query, then we give query to the applicants. Then the application, if it is all okay, then it goes to the SEC or TC. Then after they don't have query, they recommend for the approval. Then DCGI gives approval. Import registration and licensing. It is the important process for the import of the drugs into India. Then CLA product, that is Central Licensing Approving Authority. These are the products like licensing of blood component, blood products, LVPs, vaccines, rDNA products under CLA. These are the products like for which both the system like state and central play a key role for their regulation. Licenses, all licenses are given for manufacturing are given by state, and central government only gives approval for the licenses. Then we do at CDSCO are responsible for amendment of Drug and Cosmetic Act and all other act which are regulating the drug regulatory system. Then if you want to ban and cosmetics and drugs, then that work is also done by CDSCO. Then the CDSCO also have some licenses with them, like grant of test licenses, personal license, and NOC for export, and the testing of drugs. So these were the works we will discuss in later part of the slides also. Like functions of SLA. So like as you all know, there are two different systems. There are two different systems. First is the central government CDSCO, and second part of the drug regulatory system is like state drug control organization. Every state drug control organization have their FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and under that is a drug administration. So every state drug control organization have a drug control commissioner. We also call them drug controllers, deputy drug controllers, drug inspector, and support staff. Every state have the drug testing laboratory under its wing, and government analyst is an analyst, and support staff support the government analyst for testing purposes. So the drugs, like there are two parallel systems which we can say have equal resources, maybe not equal but similar resources. Like the structure we have in CDSCO, we may find that kind of structure for testing, drug inspector, regulatory staff in every state also. So I think yes. Let us move on to the next slide. That is slide number 36 for the functions of state licensing authorities. the licensing of manufacturing, the state licensing authorities, like if you recall my previous slide, uh, I have given the silent features of Drug and Cosmetic Act. In that act, section 3, chapter 3 is for import, which is regulated by central government, and chapter 4 is in relation for manufacturing. So my chapter 4 is manufacturing, and manufacturing of drugs is controlled by respective states. So first is like functions of state licensing authorities. Licensing of manufacturing site for drugs including API and finished formulation are all regulated by state licensing authorities. They give licensing, and state, every manufacturer has to go for it respective state control officer to get the licensing permission. The second function of the SLA is the licensing of establishment for sale and distribution of drugs. So sale and distribution and manufacturing are the three prime processes of the drug availability for the Indian public, these are the three processes through which drugs are available, and these are controlled by state licensing authority. Approval of the drug testing laboratory in a particular state is also done by state licensing authorities. Monitoring of quality drugs and cosmetics marketed in the country in the state level is done by state licensing authority. The investigation, and they take help different inspectorate tools like investigation, prosecution, and contravention for legal provision, and with the help of this they regulated drugs in their respective state. Then if there are drugs which to be recalled, then that work is also done through state licensing authority. So let us move on to the next part of the presentation, that is the drug inspector. Appointment of drug inspector. As you all know, drugs inspector under section 21 of the Act, drug inspector are to be recruited by central as well as state government. They do have specific requirement prescribed for their RR, that is recruitment rules. They do have separate recruitment process through which they should recruit the appropriate candidates as a drugs inspector. Drug inspectors are notified in official gazette through state government gazette or central government gazette. For the drug inspector recruitment notification, and their notification official gazette is by specific area. So drug inspector are public servant within the meaning of section 21 of IPC, and they shall be officially subordinate to such authority as the government appoint him, may be specified in his behalf. Section 22 gives the powers of drug inspectors, section 22 of the Act. So the different powers, drug inspectors under the Act had different powers, and the powers are like to inspect the premises, person, vehicle. The drug inspector may fit or have reason to believe. Then drug inspector may take sample from different places in the market, like from manufacturer, from distributor, from seller. Then he may take sampling, he may do sampling, give that sample for testing, and if the sample passes the respective test and the results are okay within the specified limits, then sorry for the glitch. Am I audible, Praveen? Hello?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
So we were on to the powers of the drug inspector. The inspector has certain powers to him, which are provided by section 22 of the Drug and Cosmetic Act. The inspect, take sampling, search and seizure, order in writing not to dispose of any stock of such drug or cosmetic for a specific period. Then examine the records available for manufacturing, distribution, issue direction to produce record registered documents, and exercise other powers as may be necessary. So these are the powers which you will find in section 22 of the Drug and Cosmetics. Then same are the duties for the drug inspector. Let us move on to slide number 41. This is the recruitment process. I think my audience will be interested in recruitment of drug inspectors. So in recruitment of drug inspector for central government is done through UPSC, and for state government the respective state public commission, that is MPSC for Maharashtra and UPPSC from UP. The state drug inspector post is like a gazetted post, class 2 gazetted post. First of all, advertisement will come. In an advertisement there are different like requirements the candidates should possess. For our particular time, we were required to have a pharmacy graduation. These are all stated in acts, but I'm telling you for my recruitment, we were to have pharmacy graduation, then 18 months of manufacturing experience in Schedule C. So if you qualify those requirements, then you are eligible to submit a form. Then your exam will be taken. Exam is based on the B Pharm to till M Pharm pharmacy knowledge. Then if you qualify for the exam, certain candidates will be called for interview. My exam was held at in 2015. Advertisement was come. I gave an exam at Nagpur. Then I was called for an interview. Interview takes place in New Delhi for central government officers. It is the same institute where IS interviews are conducted. We were honored, but like every one of selected inspector, we are honored to sit in that place, face that panel, which takes interview for the central government employees like IS officer, IPS officers. Then if you qualify though, if you qualify the exam, if you qualify the interview process, then you are selected. You have given a choice to join. Then if you want to join, then first you must go the document verification. As is the case for all government jobs, they need verification of your documents. In our case, physical verification was done, like the person is really working in that previously. He really do have an experience, or he was working in that, and on which project he has worked, and all that. The physical verification is not necessarily done for every recruitment, but for our recruitment it was done. Then we joined. After joining, like we were undergone for training, and I may tell that in later part of my presentation. Like so until we are on slide number 42, but until this I think I should review once the process, what the things which we have learned until this point. Like first we learned the history of the drug control in India, Chopra committee, its recommendations, and how those recommendations help form the Drug and Cosmetic Act. Like then we came to Drug and Cosmetic Act formation. Drug and Cosmetics Act gave rise to definition of drug and gives some legislation which is used to control the drug regulatory system in India. Then we learned about the definition of drug, what is the definition, and I believe as a pharmacist, as a pharmaceutical professional, we should be by heart learn the definition of drug. Then we came to know different like drug is in concurrent list. It is controlled by state as well as central government both. Then we come to know that what are the different agencies which help CDSCO, DCGI for decision making for drug control. What are the resources which he has in CDSCO. We also learned what are the resources available for drug control in state level. Then we learned what are the like drug inspector section 21 gives the recruitment of drug inspector, 22 powers, section 22 powers. What are the functions of CDSCO and SLA? We have had a small snapshot, or you may think you may say we have small introduction to the functions of CDSCO. Due to paucity of time, I have not gone into the detail of each function of CDSCO and SLA. That may be the part of some another presentation, we can get it. So until this we have formed. Now you have also seen how drug inspectors are recruited. Now as a drug inspector, we need to perform different duties under the act. In like CDCO headquarter, we do process different applications, application for the application review process we do. Then we raise some queries and all the duties which are assigned to us by the licensing authority and DCGI. One interesting part of my duty as a drug inspector is a raid. A raid which we do where we think there is some contravention or there are activities going in contravention to the Drug and Cosmetic Act. And to curb those activities, we plan raids. So you might have saw the film Raid. It is the over exaggeration of the raid process which we do follow, but some steps are similar. So I will explain you what are the processes, like what are the thinking, what is the planning, what are the processes which are involved in the conducting and raid. First, planning. First of all, I will tell you that in 2019 March, I was a part of the team which took raids on the manufacturers, counterfeit manufacturers of the medical devices, that is screws, orthopedic implants, etc., etc. But to conduct a raid, four different procedures are involved. Like first of all is a planning. So planning of a raid requires exhaustive resources. Like you need to know exactly where you have to raid, for what you are looking for in that raid, what are the address. So we do have in central government, uh, we do have uh, like intelligence wing in our CDSO headquarter, which plans the raid. We do have knowledge of different. This raid was linked to a like recent case of the faulty orthopedic implant of case and its resurgence in the faulty implant case in the recent newspaper. Then our intelligence wing checked all the manufacturers. They physically verified that okay, all these at all these addresses, the counterfeit or not of standard quality medical implants, medical devices have been manufactured. They are not manufactured at the certain GMP requirements as they should be. So the planning stage is like physical verification, then confirming their addresses. Our persons from our intelligence wing visited each and every place. They documented their place of the manufacturing. Then we formulated like on the day of raid, day before the day of raid, we were informed that like tomorrow you come to office in the 9 a.m. in the morning at office. Then you will be distributed different places. You will be formed in team and you will be distributed for the places where you will be going for raid. Then on the next day, 19th of March, we joined our headquarters early in the morning. Then we were distributed in different teams, like team of 3 to 4 people for particular place. And we were handed over a secret envelope which was containing the detailed address of the counterfeit implant manufacturing unit for which we have to conduct a raid. Then until that place, we were not knowing where we will be going for raid. It was all kept secret. Then second stage of the raid comes the deliberation. We were gathered in some meeting room. We were informed that at what places you were going for the raid. Like we were going for the Rewari place in the near outskirt of the Delhi, where these are the they are manufacturing the counterfeit medical devices. What you have to go, we were informed by our authorities what we have to do for conducting a raid. Like what evidences we should collect, we were also informed by that. They also told us that you should start recording your camera, you should take photographs, you should take whatever the print evidence with you, which will help our cause for next court cases. Then the point came for execution. Like we were all deliberated where to go. We were formed into teams. We were given the addresses. Now they told us and it was so meticulously planned that they gave us time to travel to a destination, and they said all the rates for at a particular address will be pinpointed to the same time hour, like at 12:30 we have to raid at that place. So this was the detailed deliberation given to us for the raid. Then the time came for execution. uh, I will show you the next slide. My team, we were in a team of three. We were headed by, uh, if you see on the photograph on the slide number 44, this is the team, and the behind house you can see is the place where in that place basement is the manufacturing area for orthopedic implants. So our team has had already visited that place. They have confirmed that this is the manufacturing site, you have to raid that. So we went there at 12:30, and this is my team. The middle person is the head of the team, our senior drug inspector Arunachalam sir. He's from Chennai. And then uh, then at the time of raid, we, like, if the person are doing wrong, then they feel that we are doing wrong, and they don't allow you entry into the premises. So we told them that we are doing just a research. You are manufacturing these products, and we are like customers to you. We are doing research, and we may buy your products. So they gave entry us for their manufacturing site. So I will show you how they were manufacturing the. So in slide, next slide number, I think 45, you can see the orthopedic implants the person is having in his hand. You can see the place. You can see the stairs. Under that is a basement place where they are manufacturing the implants. You can see they are manufacturing in the slide number 46, 47. Praveen, can you show them?
Yeah, it's on track.
Yeah. Okay, so you can see on slide number 47, the place, 46, the place is so dirty. They were manufacturing orthopedic implants. Those were going in patient, and those were being, it is like a garage. They are manufacturing that, and it is not supposed to like this. So as a healthcare professional, we were shocked how these are manufactured. Then we took some photographs in that raid. We took some their bills, like their purchase bill, purchase invoices they have provided. And it was surprise to us that they have provided such a shoddy and such a shoddy and counterfeitly manufactured medical devices to some important hospitals across Delhi. They were showing us the purchase bills, invoice bills. We were shocked, but we collected those purchase bills and take these photographs. I have also shot a video of this whole process. Then after that is like doing panchanama. Like we do panchanama at the place of the raid. In panchanama, you have to like mention what you have seen, what is your purpose, what you have seen, and whatever the documents you are recovering. Then at the we took these evidences at the headquarters and handed over to the respective uh, unit. We do have like a legal unit in CDSA headquarters, which takes into account the evidence and started the process of filing a court case on these manufacturers. So uh, this is my case study and personal experience for RAID. So with this, I end my presentation, and I would like to thank Dr. Rakesh Somani sir, Professor Praveen, for giving me an opportunity to express my views. Uh, I decided that I will explain this in starting, but I forgot that due to anxiety of the presenting, that the views, opinions expressed in this presentation are totally mine. And though the views and opinions expressed in all this webinar are totally mine and mine only, and my organization need not necessarily agree with them, all of them. So please keep in this account. And I believe my presentation up till this end was of some cause and some help to all of my audiences. So thank you once again.
Uh,
Over to you, Professor Prem.
yeah, thank you, Deepak. Kindly, we can recap all the slides in 2 minutes, just superficially, because initially there was some technical glitch.
Yeah. Yeah, Praveen, you can do it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, just speak up and move on these slides. I will be keep moving.
So, like outline in my outline, I distributed my presentation into 6 parts. We have learned about the history of drug control in India, like Chopra Committee establishment, the quinine incidents, then establishment of Central Drug Laboratory, legislation, drug control, the Drug Act, how the cosmetics were included, and all that, how it helped in formulation of the DCGI, CDCO, state drug control, etc. Then we moved further for the, yes, Praveen, I have shared with you my presentation. You can share with our
Yes.
audience later on. And move on to the next slide, please. Yeah, this we have covered. Yes, next, please. If my audience want to have a look for overall the what has happened in the history, then there is a one slide. Next, please. Next, 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 next.
Okay. So
Is
till this point, there was a technical problem. So I hope now slides we have covered till that moment, and after that you were on track.
so
So
definitely,
with
so it is good. It is good that they. So from this slide, they were online. They were seeing this slide
yes,
presentation.
yes,
Yeah, it
yes.
is very good. It is very good. Like we have learned definition of drug. There are 4 parts. If I have to conclude, then my audiences through my this webinar at least should know the definition of drug, and they should recall that we do have the drug are in concurrent list. They are regulated both by state and central government authorities. We do have resources for regulation of drug at central level, that is CDSCO, and at state level, that is the drug controllers and their uh, associated staff. And they should also recall that which are the different institutions which are helping DCGI, like DTAB, DCC, RCGM, DBT, ICMR. They were also helping, and in some way they are playing part for regulation of drug. Then we just have a snapshot or overview of the what are the functions of the CDSCO, Central Drug Standard Control Organization, and what were the function of state licensing authorities. And then we moved further for the recruitment of DIs, drug inspector. Drug inspector, actually it is the basis of the drug regulation pyramid. uh, the drug inspector are the, because why they are important, because it is the post which is mentioned in the Drug Act, and the drug inspector is the decision making authority at the point of contact. Like if you go for an inspection or raid, drug inspector is the decision making authority there. His decision to like if he go for an observation, if he go for an inspection of a GMP facility, if he records some observation, and that observation, to categorize that observation, it is whether it is a critical, major, minor recommendation, or the uh, observation, that decision is made by drug inspector. So CDSO is also valuing its drug inspector. CDSO is investing heavily for the training of drug inspector. Like from my inception into this CDSO, I have undergone close to around six months of training in different part of CGMP, CGLP, etc., etc. So that is why we do some uh, we had some interaction with the recruitment process and powers and duties of our drug inspectors. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Deepak. I hope that now everyone got these slides. There are lots of questions pouring into a chat section. So I
Yeah,
will be taking the few of them. There is one question from Nutan. I heard many of them saying girls are not suitable for post of DI. Is that a case?
no, certainly not. Actually, in my batch, there were 108 drug inspectors which were recruited, and around 25% of that are girls. So there is no disparity in this job. Girls will be a drug inspector, and as you all know, as every married person knows, your wife is more observant than you. So girls, and for to become an inspector, you need better observation skills also. So I don't support and I don't believe that girls can be. There are many good colleagues also, my seniors also, who are good inspector girls and who are women. Though they are managing their family, still they are very good at their job as a drug inspector.
Okay. Next
Can
question
I,
from, yeah.
can I ask a question?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Can I
sir.
ask a
Yes, sir.
question?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the question is, Mr. Deepak, I mean, it was a really wonderful talk, and a lot of aspects of, a lot of aspects of drug regulatory system in the country are covered.
Yes, sir.
Precisely the example what you gave regarding the spurious activities of medical devices and the entire story, it was really wonderful. However, my question is little bit deviating. I mean, a little bit different kind of thing. Of course, there are a lot of questions of the student, and I request you that you please answer those questions also, particularly regarding the recruitment and other things. Because so two things I want to precisely ask, and do not take me otherwise. It is observed and it is said that drug inspector job is very lucrative. Now, in what sense it is lucrative, no need to mention very precisely here on this platform, but it is observed that the job is very lucrative. So you need to please make us aware whether it is really a kind of lucrative job. That is my first question, and hope you are able to understand what I'm talking.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, I'm able to. You are able to hear me. Yeah. And the second question is whether this CDSO and your entire system have any kind of provision where they can collaborate with academic institutions for execution of their activities. Because academia is nowhere in the picture in the entire system. So please, I would like to know from you all this and both two things precisely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Really, thank you for asking this question, sir. First question is, I think you want to ask that the drug inspector profession is stigmatized. It is stigmatized that people think that it is a lucrative job. It was the case in some areas of country, but nowadays the act, the rules, the guidelines for establishing from the sales unit to establishing a manufacturing unit to getting approval for your products is now everything is in online. So the transparency has definitely increased, and so these kind of activity, the kind of activity which was being done to stigmatize our profession was nowadays are rare, very rare, very rare to be seen. And now we are being paid handsomely for doing our great job. What a person needs as a drug inspector, what a person needs in a good job, like challenges, everyday challenges, fulfillment of job responsibility, fulfill like having a feeling of doing something for the country, doing something for the people. So as a drug inspector, we are trained hard. in every aspect to become a drug inspector, good observant, good learner, good like technical officer. And our job, like previously drug inspector were like seeing them their profession as a police giri, but now it is not such a case. We we are like their coordinator or facilitator. WHO has coined a term as a facilitator, techno regulatory facilitator. Our job is like we should be greater at technical skills. We should be known to everything, every aspect of technology happened and will happening to our profession. And we should also teach industry, inform them what are the benefits of industry, what are the benefits of, like in our case, we do inspect industry. We do learn many new things from industry, like going to an inspection is like getting an information, getting to learn new things at every inspection. So our fulfillment of professional requirement due to this job is now getting good. So the cases of stigmat activities which were stigmatizing this profession was now are very rare, because increased transparency in drug approval processes. Now government wants to move towards the self inspection process, like these are the thoughts in the higher authorities, like yeah, they will give you some points, you should self inspect them. And you should reduce the inspector uh, intervention in your day-to-day activities, uh, uh, licensing renewal. It was a stigmatized, it was the activity, it was the prime activity where the uh, lucrative, the word you have used, was being done. But now it is being done automatically. You have to just fill the fees, your license will be renewed automatically. And every 3 years, in 1 or 3 years, inspection will be done by central or state licensing authority. So government has reduced this, so and we are getting handsome pay. So there are no stigmatized activities which are being stigmatized to our profession are being done now. They are rare to see. And secondly, like involvement of academia. Yes, it is a good thought. I must appreciate your thinking, sir, on this front. And I do have recently been posted in the ministry. There also the higher ups think that academia participation in the drug regulatory process should be enhanced more. Like academics, we are involving in early days of drug inspector, like the very insidious. So if you recruit a drug inspector, we involve academic professors, teachers to teach a drug inspector different aspect of CGMP, GLP, etc., etc. So at that stage, currently academia is involved, like teaching to regulator. But later part, we government is thinking that we may give some of our review processes of application and guidelines framing job to academia. So yes,
Okay.
academia in future will be a part of the drug regulatory system in India. Definitely, sir.
Okay. Thanks a lot for a very great, explanation for my both questions. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Praveen Jagtap.
Yes, sir. Let me emphasize on this point that Deepak is mostly reading on industry, not only the medical shops, but most of the industry. And he's already
Yeah.
on national duty because 2 days back we had a conversation and he said that his colleagues and boss are corona positive. He tested himself and fortunately he is corona negative. So he has taken this effort.
Great
So we are appreciating your,
contribution.
yeah. So one more question we will be taking that this is a question from Harshala Baddi, that is from Naipur. Uh, which license are required for opening sanitizer factory?
Sorry.
Sanitizer factory. Nowadays sanitizers are used mostly. So which license are required?
Like you need only manufacturing license from your state licensing authority. It is not a new drug. If there is a new drug, then only you need permission from DCGI or central government. Sanitizers are not a new drug, so they are already in market from past 15, 20 years. So you need a manufacturing facility license from your state for the manufacture of licenses. And nowadays, this process has been streamlined. You have to just go there. You are telling them manufacture. Due to COVID crisis, government has relaxed some rules for manufacturing, and nowadays you will get easily.
Okay. Another question from Yogesh Sonone. Will you please throw some light on bee study requirement in India? Like scenario, do we need a bee study? Is it required? And whether it is waived?
Uh, like a bioequivalence study.
Yes.
Yeah, bioequivalence study have been mandated for the drugs which are to be launched in India. We do have, I don't recollect what is the GSR, but with the help of that GSR, we have made mandatory for doing a bioequivalence study for class 3, class 4 drugs. We have given the list of class 1 to BCS class 1, 2, 3, 4 drugs on this CDSA website. So B study, yes, they are mandatory for certain approval of drugs which are already in market. Though if you want to sell them, you have to perform a B study. So yes, and there is a different proposed regulation to conduct the NOC from CDSA first. So if you are going for clinical trial, then you must come to DCGI for seeking NOC to do a B study.
Okay. Another question from Aniket Gulumkar from Manipal. If I want to manufacture new vaccine, to whom I should proceed and which form one should fill for submission and where to submit it, whether online or offline?
Like first, I would like to know what is your vaccine. It is a very new vaccines per se. Like vaccines are biological products. For every biological products, though it is in market, every biological product is considered as new drug every time. This is not case in the chemical drugs. Once it is approved, subsequent approvals should be taken from state. But in case of vaccine, you have to take permission from DCGI, Central Licensing Approving Authority, that is DCGI, for your vaccine approval. Then you should take your approval from DBT also for starting experiments on animals, buying cell cultures, etc., etc. Then establishing a manufacturing facility, you need to take approval from your local regulatory state or regulatory system, and environment protection environment ministry also. Then for doing phase 1, 2, 3 studies, and for getting approval for BNOC clinical trial, you should come to CDSO. Then appellate laboratory, which is involved, which is which is of paramount importance in vaccine regulation, is CDL Kasoli. They will be also be involved in your vaccine approvals. It's a long process every time, but the processes which are involved for the approval of new drugs all are implemented for every vaccine for which you have to take permission.
Okay. We are getting a lots of questions, but due to time constraint, we have to restrict to few of the questions. So my last question to you, he must be of CPNites, Vaibhav Kharat. So he asks that your journey from NMVP to drug inspector, I think you have already enlightened that one. The next question of him is, what would you advise student who wants to work in CDSCO as a drug inspector?
So sorry, can you repeat, please, Praveen?
Yeah, what would you advise a student who wants to work in CDSCO as a drug inspector?
Yeah, first complete your graduation, then had your post graduation done, then get an experience of 18 months in Schedule C manufacturing firm, and then look for the advertisement. Like for getting recruited as a drug inspector in central government, there are three things which are of paramount importance. First, you should have an age criteria is there for selection of DI. You should have required qualification on recruitment, which are given in recruitment rules. Not only for CDS or central government, every state has also its different recruitment rules for drug inspector. Like central government is prescribing B Farm plus 18 months of experience in Schedule C manufacturing, which all of our inspectors have. But in some states, like in Rajasthan, in Tamil Nadu, they don't need any manufacturing experience, straight away a B.Pharm person can become a drug inspector. So you should be, if a person wants to become a, if a person wants to become a drug inspector, he should first collect all the recruitment rules of all the agencies. Like central government, CDSO do have its recruitment rules, recruitment process in public domain. Then the person who is interested in to become a drug inspector should collect the recruitment rules of all the states across India. What are the requirements? First, try to fulfill those requirements. Of course, completing your graduation, post graduation is utmost importance. Second, there are three things. Advertisement also should come. You should have age. You should have requirement criteria. And you should have the lucky enough to get an advertisement in your these valid two cases. So keep eye open. Like first recruitment before our recruitment was done in 2015. The advertisement got published. Then before that, recruitment was 2013, 2010. But nowadays, the higher authorities in central government are thinking to invest heavily to increase the resources for the drug regulation in India. Like there are only 1350 drug inspector in all of India. So this comes around for instance, for every 20 lakh population, there is only one drug inspector. We are so under-resourced. And if we compare that with USFDA, USFDA has around close to 15,000 personnel which are involved in drug regulation through FDA. And we as CDSO had only 431. And if you compare all of the state resources, their casual and confirmed workers, that number will come to around only 15,000. So government is thinking in that direction. There will be greater opportunities for the coming generation to become drug inspector, not only in central government, but also in different state government across India. So keep an eye on advertisement, get your recruitment requirements done. And third is study hard. Like if you have seen requirement, you are fulfilling the requirement, you have seen the advertisement, then immediately you should start for the study for the exam.
Thank you, Deepak. I must say that it was a really commendable journey. I am one of the witness of his journey till DI. So really, you need to work hard. You need to keep eye on the advertisement published by the government. It was a really awesome talk. We are getting a lots of questions, but I apologize because of the time constraint. I couldn't take all the questions. Also apologize for the initial technical glitches that were happened.
I request people that whosoever have questions, they can personally message me on my Facebook. I am very much alive on Facebook, and I have shared in starting of this PPT my email ID also. They shall contact me through my email. I will definitely answer their questions.
Okay, so thank you to all of you, all the participants, to be a part of this particular webinar. Though there were some difficulties, but at the end we could manage well. So here I am sharing a screen which is having details of Mr. Deepak Nipunge. If you have any query, you can connect on Facebook as well. So I think now it's over. So without taking any more time, I'm concluding today's session. Thank you, Mr. Deepak, for giving your valuable time, and thank you our technical team to support in a good manner. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rakesh, sir.